Happy Wednesday to you. Today's reading from Musings of a Christian Physician on the Physical and Spiritual Healing of Man by Dr. Joseph DeMay is going to be from week number 1 on the Tuesday reading. I had to completely change my way of thinking to understand and benefit from the truths about healing and living an abundant, fruitful life as a Christian. Here's what I had to get my mind around and come to accept fully. That Holy Scripture is absolutely truth and eternal. Our senses, intellect, and emotions are deceiving and temporal. Counterintuitive, isn't it? That's not what we're raised to think. We are all naturally like doubting Thomas, who would not believe that Jesus had risen from the dead until he saw the nail prints in his hands and felt the hole in his side. John 20:25. We function in the natural realm of reason by what we can see, touch, smell, taste, and hear. Makes sense, right? But that's not what we were created to function. How we were created to function. We were created to exist on a much higher level. To see that, we must go back to creation, to the very start of the human race in the garden. Before the fall, Adam and Eve functioned in a spiritual realm and were able to communicate directly with God and God's Spirit. John 4:24. They had minds and emotions and physical bodies with all the senses, but they didn't rely solely on those aspects of their being. Those things were not needed since Adam and Eve were in a perfect union with their Creator. For instance, they were naked and perfectly okay with that. They were not ashamed and saw no need to wear clothes. Genesis 2:25. All of this would change dramatically when they sinned, and every human-born sin would suffer their consequences. You see, we were created as triune beings, just as God is. Whatever made in the image of God means, it doesn't mean that we were created to look like God physically, as he has no body. But we have bodies. We were created with a body, which allows us to see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. A soul, which is eternal and composed of our intellect, emotions, and will. And a spirit, which is actually the real us, also eternal, and our way to commune with God. Adam and Eve probably had a conscience, and if they did, it was rudimentary because it was not needed. When God told Adam and Eve that they would die, and die that same day if they ate of the one forbidden tree in the midst of the garden, it was their spirit that he was referring to. Their sin resulted from the separation of their spirits from God's. The spirit within them became dormant, and they now had to rely on the other two aspects of their being, namely their soul, their mind, and body, senses. It was indeed a fall from something much superior, and that is the way we are born, spiritually dead and separated from God. The one foolproof and perfect aspect of us as humans is not at our disposal, not unless we are born again, which results in the rebirth of our spirit. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. Here's what I want to get across for today. Spiritual things from our Creator God are always absolutely true and eternal, whereas carnal things, which have to do with our senses and emotions and intellect, are not always true. They can be deceiving. We all have experienced that. And temporary. What do we all have access to in the spiritual? Holy Scripture. Listen to Jesus in John 6:63, which says, "It is the Spirit who gives life. The flesh profits nothing. The words that I speak to you are spirit, and they are life." Emphasis added. Wow. More next time.